Hey guys, how y'all doing today? Just getting out of the grocery store. Did a big haul today. Oh man, I'm starting to really feel the clamp down, you know? Like, I work a full-time job. You know, it's a good job. It's honest work. Not that the capitalist class thinks so or admires anything about that. I'm having trouble. I'm having trouble clearing the rent. I'm having trouble clearing my food bills. So things are getting a little bit more, less buying prepared food, less going out. Literally bought just like a bunch of potatoes today. Just a big whack of potatoes today. And that's the way it's going to be. And that's the way it's going to be moving forward for lots of people, right? Like, as our political class actively abandons us, actively works to ensure that the power of capital is entrenched. And what's so despicable about what's happening now? One of my regular commenters, the Max 37, I believe. My apologies if I've gotten that incorrect. He points out the National Post recently published an article that's making the rounds, entitled something along the lines of the socialist takeover of Canada and the taxpayers are paying for it. Something along those lines. This is an article that officially, like, you can put a stamp on it, sign, seal, deliver. It is the moment where the National Post ceases to be a credible news organization. Like, if you had any doubts in your mind whatsoever about whether or not the National Post was providing actual information to the populace, was actually attempting to inform anyone, that is now gone with the publishing of this article. The fact that this article goes past an editor's desk and the response from the editor isn't immediately, this is garbage. Even as an editorial piece, even as an opinion piece, like, it's absolutely bereft of basic logic, basic facts, basic understanding of the issues on a very, very, very basic level. Like, literally kindergarten, like, get your facts straight level. First of all, the accusation that Justin Trudeau is a socialist. This is a way for... and let's be really clear what the National Post is now. It is a far-right, not alt-right, it is a fascist paper that is putting forward an ideology that can only be described as fascism, that is actually completely just a mouthpiece for a billionaire class that is actively seeking to abandon us. So, what's the point of an article like this? Right? What's the point of calling Justin Trudeau a socialist? So, calling Justin Trudeau a socialist means that you're politically inept. It means that you don't know what you're talking about. And an editor of a major newspaper should understand that, right? Calling Justin Trudeau, like the fact that they call Justin Trudeau a socialist in the first place, an editor should send that back. Circle that line, circle that paragraph, and simply be like, that is factually incorrect. There's absolutely no way that a reputable news organization should be publishing that garbage. But the National Post is not a reputable news organization. It is a hack propaganda outlet for fascists. The fact that they're calling Justin Trudeau a socialist, right? There's a reason why they're calling Justin Trudeau a socialist. It's so that if an actual socialist were to stand up and actually put forward actual socialist policies, which Justin Trudeau has not and does not, it would be considered the worst form of communism, and they could start evoking Pol Pot and Stalin and Mao and all of the worst atrocities and crimes, of course while ignoring their own, because that's what capitalists do. They ignore their own genocides and like to focus on the famines that communist nations had to deal with. Forgive me if I'm a bit out of breath. I'm carrying an awful lot of groceries right now on my back. But so to call Justin Trudeau, like, why are we calling Justin Trudeau a socialist? Because he passed a CERB, right? That he has immediately now backed off of as we go into a second wave, ensuring the full-scale abandonment of the populace, which is exactly what we're witnessing in front of our faces. But that's about it. And that's not even really a socialist policy. Like, ensuring that your populace doesn't starve in the middle of a pandemic is like barely so. Like, that's, unless you're like a rapacious sociopath, isn't that your goal? Isn't that something you want to do? Isn't the whole point of a government to ensure that in the middle of a pandemic people don't starve or are rendered homeless? Like, that doesn't seem like a position. You know what I mean? Like, that's not like a fascist or a socialist or a conservative or a liberal or a progressive, or that's not a position. Like, that's literally the function of government. That's literally what it's for. If it has any function, it is to ensure that the populace does not starve. And especially in the middle of a pandemic. And so this idea that Justin Trudeau is a socialist is just put forward so that if actual socialists put forward ideas, they can be completely lambasted by people who have no idea what socialism is, have no idea what communism is, barely understand what capitalism is, and would refuse to listen to you if you attempted to educate them, because they're listening to hack propagandists like the National Post, which is now, in my view, is completely discredited. Like, before, when it was just like hack propagandists like John Ivison, like Kelly McParland, just these complete hacks, it was one thing. But now literally you have this article that attempts to demonize the basic income, and the way that it did it, this is the funniest thing that it did. I don't have the author's name offhand, but boy howdy, what a hack. Literally states, just uncritically and without any contemplation or thought, that the basic income is going to cost $400 billion annually, which is, and then posts to a Fraser Institute article that makes the case that could be so, which is like, which is like asking the sheep what their biggest problem is, but only taking advice from the wolf. Like, it's a complete and total, like, you're not actually going to economists. You're not actually going to the economists who have actually studied the issue. You're not actually going to people like Evelyn Forget. You're not actually going to people like Hugh Siegel. You're not actually going to people who have looked at the issue, who have studied the issue. You're not talking to the senators, right, who wrote a letter of support. You're not doing any of that. You're literally just vomiting out a lie, because if it's coming out of the Fraser Institute, it is a lie, like black and white. That's no longer a debatable point. Because they're literally just a brain trust for billionaires. They don't care about anything. They care about money for themselves. And if you have to die for it, great. That's what they're hoping for, because it'll make people more desperate, right? And that'll drive labor prices down, which is exactly what they're trying to do. They literally will sacrifice your life, as we're witnessing right in front of our faces right now. because that's what sociopaths do, right? Like they don't have any other position other than more money for me, please. The and so this like outright lying, like just debasing themselves, like it's humiliating for the National Post to publish such an overt and obvious piece of garbage. Like it's like they're the National Enquirer now, right? They're on that kind of level. Like soon they'll be reporting about Bat Boy, you know? Anything to sell papers, right? Anything to just shove it into people's faces and get them to pay a couple of bucks to see the drivel that you're publishing. And it's just nonsense garbage. Like, holy cow. Like, you know it's bad when billionaire bought organizations like the Globe and Mail have more credibility than you, right? Like, if you can't do better than that, like, you might as well. And it just leads me to this place where I'm like, who is actually paying money to listen to this? Like, who's actually reading an article like this and taking it at all seriously? Like, can you imagine someone saying that Justin Trudeau is a socialist and believing it? Like, Justin Trudeau's not a socialist. What are you talking about? What socialist policies has he put forward? For real, what socialist policies has Justin Trudeau put forward? Name one, right? And they'll say, oh, he's going to do a basic income. No, he's not. Like, no, if he wanted to do a basic income, it would have been done already, right? He had full opportunity to do a basic income. They passed this CERB as an emergency measure during a pandemic with the full intention of pulling it back, which they definitely are, right? And if you think otherwise, you're politically illiterate. Straight out, it's right in front of your face. And if they wanted to pass a basic income, they could do it. They could do it now. They could do it today, right? The NDP isn't going to stand in the way of the Trudeau government passing a basic income. They're going to go along with that. Absolutely, they are. The Greens absolutely will, but full scale. So this mythical narrative that Justin Trudeau is going to pass a basic income when he hasn't yet, and has no indication that he is going to, as he is building a bunch of different programs and as he is separating a bunch of different programs to obviously divide the populace, to obviously create multiple different programs so that he can attack the populace as individuals instead of as a lumped group, right? To claim that anything else is going on is a form of dementia, and that's all that it can be. It's this overt delusion, and the only people who can believe it are people who are so deluded and so detached and so completely out of touch with what's happening around them that they're willing to believe such an egregious and massive lie. And the National Post, I mean, they're not capable of shame, but they definitely should be ashamed of themselves for publishing such obvious lies, like such overt and painfully obvious lies. And, you know, it's like the society is due for a cleansing, right? You have one of the former Twitter CEOs literally saying a revolution is coming and capitalists are going to be shot, right? Yeah, you can see why, right? You can see pretty cleanly why. Because the capitalists, all they can do is lie to you and exploit you and sacrifice you to a system that is actively attempting and is actively structured to destroy you, right? Like, yeah, if they continue acting in this way and if they continue plundering the society for the benefit of a small group of sociopaths, for sure there's going to be a revolution. And it's not going to look good. It's not going to look nice. Especially, like, down in the States, it's going to just be a vicious bloodbath. Like, it's going to be a vicious bloodbath. And you can already see it coming. The celebration of the infection of Donald Trump, just the outright mocking And to think that there is a large segment of the population that is taking that mocking and taking that insult as a personal insult to them, that they're willing to pick up arms, groups like the Proud Boys willing to pick up arms in order to fight back against this rising socialism in figures like Joe Biden and figures like Justin Trudeau. Like, these people are not socialists. They are neoliberals, right? But what is happening, right, is that the neoliberals need to break with socialism because they know that socialism is their greatest enemy. They know that socialism is their greatest enemy because any reform to the capitalist system will ultimately lead to the demise of capitalism, because capitalism can't be reformed, truly. Like, any transition and any movement that happens is going to diminish the power of capital, because capital needs to be eliminated. Like, it can no longer... It's proven that it's sociopathic. It's proven that all it can do is lie to the populace. Just take a look at this National Post article, for God's sakes. Like, it's just completely indicative of exactly what we're talking about. And so what it's doing is it's creating an enemy hero narrative, right? Where the fascists, i.e. the neoliberals, because neoliberalism is just rebranded fascism, the neoliberals will sacrifice some of their own, right? That's your Bidens, that's your Trudeau, and they're completely willing to go to war against their own, right? And then once those forces, the Bidens and the Trudeaus, right, the liberals, once they completely capitulate to the fascists, then the fascists can claim victory. When all that happened is that one group of neoliberals fought against another group of neoliberals, and it wasn't even a fight. And so they can completely claim success and completely claim superiority, because that's what they care about. They care about power and domination and control. And if they're willing to publish such large-scale, egregious lies, like Justin Trudeau is a socialist, like, what the fuck are you talking about? Then there is no lie that they're not willing to tell, right? They're willing to tell any lie, and they're willing to say anything in order to control the populace, which, again, and I'll say it over and over again, the populace is extremely gullible and extremely manipulatable. They're extremely... as long as you lie, as long as the lie you tell has a kind of ring of believability to it, the populace will 100% go along with it, because the populace is completely gullible and completely incapable of discerning between what's real and what's true. And at this stage in the game, like, people have fallen into these camps, right? Like, if you read and absorb and believe and listen to the National Post at this stage in the game, it's too late for you. I don't think there's a road back for you, right? Like, or if there is a road back for you, it's long. It's a long and bloody one. Like, it's going to be very difficult for you. It's like if you're one of these Proud Boys, right? Like, if you're a Proud Boy, like, it's too late for you, dude. Like, it's going to be a long road back. It's going to be a long road back. The kind of road that they make movies out of, you know? Like, it's going to be pretty epic to go from believing the National Post to realizing that they are duping you, if you're that gullible. And I just, that's my core thing. I don't see a path out of the extreme gullibility of humanity, right? We are so gullible that it's going to destroy us, for sure. All right, that's the end of me, guys. Like, share, subscribe, always, please. Like, share, subscribe. Send it around. I don't know, go see your neighbors, go say hi, go do something to make your life a little bit better. Anything you can do these days, no judgment whatsoever. All right, good luck, have fun.